Welcome to another episode of the Black Guy Who Tips podcast. I'm your host, Rod, joined as always by my co-host,
Karen.
and we're live on a Labor Day. Okay, the day you're supposed to take off because you don't have to work, but Karen wanted to do a show.
I asked.
I know you asked,
no.
and you wanted to do a show. That's fine. I know what you want. The official weapon of the show is
the taser.
No, it's not. No, the folding chair.
The folding chair.
And the unofficial sport,
bullet ball.
A bullet ball extreme. Well, since we're doing the show, that I just figured we could talk kind of randomly for a little bit.
Yay!
Well, the first thing I wanted to say is just show note stuff. Live show is coming up September the 9th, 3 p.m. downtown Charlotte. Tickets are available. Blumenthal. The link is in the show notes. Blumenthal Performing Arts. You can also go on Google and just put the Black Guy Who Tips Live, and it's one of the first links. Virtual tickets are available, as are in-person tickets. Virtual tickets, though, you can't buy them the day of. So get your coins together or make your choice now. But there won't be like a last-minute virtual ticket.
So Friday, that's it.
The other thing, the in-person tickets have come in. People have been emailing me the tickets for the people who just wanted to buy tickets to support, but they can't make it. Mm-hmm. I've already given away a couple, which always happens every year. Yes. It's something that I'm always like, oh man, should we even do that this year? And then, lo and behold, every year, at least a few people go, I would like a ticket. And, I think that's really dope because that's fans who are not able to be here in person, but they just want to support, but also they're helping a fan out that isn't, that is here, but just might not got the 5.
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you just ain't got the 5.
Right. And so I remember we had people come from like out of town and stuff. It's a cool thing. And thank you to our fans that enable us to do that. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, if you're going to be there in person, there's a beer garden and there's a bunch of fun activities going on. If you want to get there, we don't go on till 3, but if you want to get there earlier, it's a comedy like week and a festival that's happening all throughout Charlotte. So just letting you know about that. I'm trying to think, was there anything else? I think that's it for that kind of stuff. Justin is going to be there. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, we got a photographer.
Yeah, so it's going to be a fun time. And the other thing I was thinking about, and this, we're gonna have Just Jail Cavan on tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to his podcast, Rain on Your Parade. It's new, rebranding the Righteous Prick, and it's fun, and it's a YouTube, everything. We'll talk to him about the process and everything that came up to make that work. But I think one of his first episodes, or if not the first episode of Rain on Your Parade, he's talking about SAG-AFTRA and the writer's strike. And, I listened to it. I thought it was it's obviously very funny. Him and the guest, it makes it funnier. Because, when he has a company, you can't just be like, I'm going to shoot myself, whatever. I'm going to quit comedy tonight,
Nope. So you're bouncing off of somebody.
Yeah. But I listened to it, and there were like some arguments and stuff I understand because I'm in the Writers Guild, but I'm not like a sycophant. Like I understand that there's gonna be people that don't like writers. There's gonna be people that whatever, there's a bunch of stuff. Mm-hmm. But then this keeps coming up. There's this like idea that the writers are doing well.
Right.
And that it's a dream job that pays dream job money. Constant comparisons to like athletes, where their minimum pay of an athlete might be hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. They're comparing that to people that are getting like minimum jobs of like 40,000, 60,000.
Right.
I'm gonna go into detail because it made me think about it,
Yeah, and as you pull, I guess you got to put it up. As you pull that up, I was kind of listening into the background, and it's wild how people want to compare apples to oranges. Like they want to compare what they do, and also what I realized, people kill me with the quote unquote real job. What makes a job real? What defines a job?
Well, it's funny because on the one side, when we talk about real jobs and the decency of work and all that stuff, if you say these jobs that are just labor jobs, that are physical manual labor jobs, there's a group of people in this country that say those people don't deserve to get paid because anyone can flip a burger, something like that, something to that effect of like, yeah, skilled labor, but what's the skill? It's not that much skill. And I know Democrat liberal people want them to get paid at least $15 an hour, which, the more you talk about it, the more you're like, even that wouldn't work, blah, blah, blah. But we never say, when McDonald's puts out something that says, hey, this job shouldn't be your only job. When Republicans say that, we think they're heartless. We think they're cruel. We think that's bullshit. That we know that the whole decency of work thing is a cockamamie lie because y'all just want to keep people down bad, and you say it's these other things,
right?
When you don't want to see the black people that make a lot of money for the world, for sports, billions of dollars, when they say we would like to get paid, what do we say? You're playing a game. It's not real. Da da da. And then we do this to everybody in America, nurses, right. Like everyone who's not making above the line of poverty in their job, or people that are barely making it, or people that have professions that we used to call middle class in this country.
Right.
Whenever people start noticing that, hey, the greedy people at the top are making the most money, keeping the most money, and then I'm sliding down the scale of what I can afford and what life used to mean for me.
Right.
We deride them like they're the bad people in this. It's like, because my man's beating me, your man should beat you. You know what I mean? Type of shit.
Right. And it is very frustrating. It's very irritating to hear the arguments, because what I've realized listening to people, everybody's pro-labor, but they only pro-labor for their shit. Fuck everybody else shit. Nobody else shit matters. Nobody else shit counts. Nobody else's. But you fuck with my dollar bill, oh, I'm going to have something to say. You arguing about your dollar bill, something I don't know nothing about, well then, I'm not in that industry. All of a sudden, I got opinions, I got say-sos. And, for me, it's, I'm always pro-labor. Because actually, just across the board, everybody's making less than they did before. Everybody. And nobody wants to admit that. Like our parents and our great-grandparents, the money that we're making now would be considered quote-unquote middle class. Middle class is almost close to disappearing. And when you talk about the wages and shit, most of the quote-unquote writing jobs and all that shit, guess where they are? In the most expensive-ass places in this goddamn country.
I'm going to get to that stuff, too. But, yeah, people are dealing with higher debt than ever. Right. Going to college doesn't really mean as much as it meant for even our generation. And I don't know, it's like we are so indoctrinated into America into turning everything into like well, you just didn't work hard enough. You just don't want it bad enough. You just don't want to, you're not suffering harshly enough to do what you want to do. And it's never aimed at the billionaires. It's never aimed at that 1%. It's never aimed at the people that own it all.
Right.
It's never aimed at the companies that continue to report record fucking profits. It's not aimed at the streaming channels that are raising their prices right the fuck now, and you're paying it, and you love the content on the streaming platforms because you watch it all fucking day. It's never aimed at that place and going, well, wait, why are you charging me twice as much as you were last year, but then telling me you can't pay the people who make the content that I claim to love?
Right.
The thing that I make content from watching. You're like that, like the thing that helps me, the thing like Severance that explains the monotony and the greed of corporate institutions that you love, is the corporate institution that makes that is going that produces that is going, we should get all the money and the people that work it should get none. The irony of that,
right?
Of we will, and the only way and the only time that you can have a better deal in this situation is right the fuck now.
Right.
It's been over 100 days. you, the person consuming the content, you're not having a harder time than the people that fucking are getting $0 from it in the first fucking place. After they, like, you get paid one time and then they decide you don't get anything else. They don't report their fucking numbers to tell you, like, hey, this thing you made. And the reason they don't want to do it is because they want to claim the success. Netflix will put out a thing, most watched show ever. This show, blank, this new show. Oh, it's the #1 show on the streaming thing. No one can verify it. Then they won't tell you those numbers. And guess how a lot of times people get paid in this industry? By going, my work produced these numbers for you.
Right.
I should be paid commensurate to that. The fact that people think there's two sides of this shit is, I don't even know where it's coming from. But here's I'm
about to say, it's ridiculous, because it's one of the things where people talk about residuals and all those types of things. You at your job is very different than most writers and people on that side. Because the thing is, when people do reruns and all that stuff, they're seeing these people's faces. They're seeing the words they wrote. And guess what? The companies get paid every single time this shit gets aired. I did the work. I should continue. If you're going to continue to get paid off of this, I should continue to get paid off of this.
If you don't believe in residuals for writers, why do you believe in residuals for the company that made it?
Right.
It's that kind of incongruency when it comes to logic and morality over these things that we've been doing this podcast, and I've done my best to not be whiny writer person or preaching to the choir person. And I think maybe I've done a disservice because I haven't talked about the writer's strike pretty much at all. Just because I've mostly thought it's such a simple issue. What kind of person can't understand what's happening here? The studio interviews and stuff have been so tone deaf and just pointlessly mean.
Yes.
I don't even they sound like a villain in a thing that someone would write.
So hateful.
Where you're talking about the AI thing, which I've gone into detail about why I don't think that it's the threat people think it is, but I still understand. But why, I've gone into detail over some of this stuff, but just hearing some of the sentiment that's out there, it's like, oh, maybe people are either that fucking stupid or that jealous or that whatever it is.
Right.
Like they don't see the bigger picture. Trying to make this into some type of fight between writers and Amazon. No, it's a fight between writers and the greedy ass people that have been reaping the benefits, where CEOs make 20 times what they made, over the last however many years. But the people that make it don't. That's a pretty easy. This is not a complicated thing, so I haven't felt the need to explain it. But fuck, maybe I do.
Right, and also the thing that's very irritating is that most of the CEOs, CFOs, most of the people that make these billions of dollars, all jokes aside, most of them, you don't know their fucking names. You wouldn't know what they look like. But you know who you do know, these actors and writers and producers and things like that, because a lot of them make names by doing these big works and their name is on the front. You know those people. And so the thing is, the only reason why most people care is because they go, I recognize that face. I know who that is. Well, some of these people have been marching in these lines and they've been interviewing some of them. And some of them are like, look, I've been in here since 1988. But, a lot of them been in there, been doing this for a long time. And they'd be like, I get residuals of a penny. They was like, it's not worth the fucking paper that you print this on.
Yeah, I think it's also, when it comes to that, that's one of the reasons there's a disconnect, is because people have jealousy and envy of the famous people. So when you even hear this discussion, they bring up the most prominent famous names, right? And it's, Fran Drescher, it's Shonda Rhimes, it's, big name showrunners and that have become producers and other things that used to be writers. But here's the thing that they skip over. Those people do not represent even close to not even you're talking about a 1% of our union.
Right.
And you're trying to turn, and it's just like saying, well, NBA players shouldn't make more money, no matter how much more money the CEOs make, because LeBron gets paid blank. And you're like, that's LeBron, motherfucker. Of course, you're not going to be able to come up with a needs-based argument for LeBron, even if mostly out of jealousy and envy. I think you can come up with one.
Me too.
But my point being, you pick LeBron so you can just go look at how much he makes. Well, when there's most of the people in the fucking union don't work enough to even qualify for health insurance.
Right.
When you don't even get that much work, That's what unions are actually supposed to do, protect the bottom. It's not about how much the top person can make. That's not a bad sign at all that the top person can make money, but that's not what the union's job is. The union's job is to help people get health care, to help people take care of their families, help people make a living wage. So here's Bill Maher, who has a room full of writers who work on his show. Bill Maher is, however you feel about Bill Maher is not going up there and freestyling for an hour. These people write the shit that he says, and they take the shit that he writes and they make it better so that he doesn't sound as stupid, hopefully, as he would on his own. It's the reason we read that Twitter post about Barbie, all of us who saw that, and it was him being upset and the writing long form, and we went, not only is this stupid, it's bad. Like writers help people be better. Nobody goes up there on their own. Now, you might work in the industry so long you start to think that's how you did it. You might get so rich you start relating to people. But here's Bill Maher talking to Jim Gaffigan.
The strike is a perfect example. Those guys would never go back. This strike could go on till the 24th century. They would stay out. I feel for my writers. I love my writers. I'm one of my writers. Yeah. But there's a big other side to it, and a lot of people are being hurt besides them. A lot of people who don't make as much money as them in this bipartisan world we have, where you're just in one.
Now, there's something that I think is interesting about that, because that was one of the things JL brought up. Is this like, well, there's other people who don't make that kind of money, you know, whether it be like your stagehand people or some of the people that aren't going to be unionized, you know, who work on a set. Why are you looking at the writers like the writers made those people stop working?
Right.
Like, it always comes down to that. It's always like, no, it can't. Default is it can't be a corporation's fault. It can't be a CEO's fault. It can't be a billionaire's fault. Somehow it's when the working people. It's like if you said, yeah, you know what, those Amazon workers are striking, but what about people that's not getting their packages? I mean, why would they do that to those people? Like, that's what you're saying.
And people make that argument all of the time. I'm not trying to fun. It is the same thing as in local cities with bus drivers strike or teachers strike or airplane pilots strike or shit like that. People go, well, what about me? People, well, guess what? Somebody, if I'm doing this, I want to get paid my worth. And this stoppage brings the shit to your attention.
And it's not just what about me, right? It's they pull out the what about this other person. In this case, what about the person that is the office runner who goes and gets stuff in the writer's office? They're not a writer. They're not writing anything, but they may have to run out and get some office supplies. Wow, you really don't want that person to work? That's what they're saying.
Correct.
That's the intimation. Is like, those are the people with real problems. You should shut the fuck up. So that's part one of this thing that I immediately noticed.
One camp or the other. There's no in between. You're either for the strike, like they're fucking Che Guevara out there. You know, like this is Cesar Chavez lettuce picking strike, or you're with Trump. You know, like there's no different. There's only two camps, and it's much more complicated than that.
Once again, it's what about these poor? These are real problems. People, the lettuce pickers, that was it. Power dynamics are the power dynamics. The union has a job to do.
Right.
People are coming together, democratized, and saying, we don't want to deal with these conditions anymore. You know, when they put it to a vote, there's a reason 90-something% of people voted this way, you know? And as far as it being like, you're either this or Trump, I think it just, one, depends on what you say about it. But in general, it's pretty black and white this time.
Right.
I could see if we were talking about some scenario where it's very gray and it's like, oh man, you know, writers just got a pay increase and now they're asking for another pay increase. And, you know, they said they want 100% of the streaming royalties or something. And then you go, well, yeah, that's so ridiculous that kind of is hard to make that argument. Especially because of who the companies are and the statements they put out, they've made it very black and white.
Yes, they did. They basically came out and all of them showed their ass, stuck their middle fingers up. CEOs out here making all types of reckless ass statements, and nobody is be like, the fuck, dog. Like, if you at your job, your CEO came out and said some bullshit like that, you would feel a certain way as an employee.
All right. So back to this.
It is, but I do feel like there is a lot of the points, a lot of the grievances I kind of agree with.
I do understand that they're getting screwed a bit by the streamers. Yeah.
Screwed a bit is a funny way to put that shit. Basically, if they put something on streaming, and keep in mind, the streamers means, he says the streamers like those are separate. Like HBO Max got streaming. All the big studios have streaming now, except for I think maybe Sony. And essentially, if you make something for streaming, they don't even have to pay you the minimum. So the union minimums that have been negotiated, they basically go, fuck that shit. And you get zero residuals.
Right.
And then there's a bunch of other shit that's in there that people just don't know about in the industry. And maybe if you're not in the industry, you don't know about if you're not in the industry, but there's a bunch of provisions for work that's been happening that companies have been taking advantage of people. You know, there's ways they can get you to basically write an entire season of a TV show, but never put you in a writer's room.
Right.
There's ways to do shit like make you pitch ideas that you have to completely write, you know, tell you, oh, we need a pilot like blank. They can cut you out of the process to where they get your idea, your writing, everything, and go, we're not going to actually pay you to be in your own writer's room.
Even though you did the work.
Yeah, and this information, the reason I haven't felt pressed to talk about it is because you could listen to like the New York Times, the Daily, and I'm sure they had an episode about this.
They did.
Many outlets that covered this have explained that it's not just writers being greedy and wanting, you know, every show should have 22 episodes. That's not true.
Right.
You know, stuff like being on set is a thing that used to just be almost mandated. It was expected. Correct. If we film something and you wrote it, we might need you there when we film it. And if you can be there, the better for us. And it's good for you. You can learn things that you wouldn't be able to learn in a remote room, or if they took you, or they just like never put you on set and stuff. So there's these things that if you don't understand and you're on the outside looking in, you may think it's some little thing. But it's why you have a Shonda Rhimes.
Right. And also the thing is, for a lot of that stuff, being on set matters because you're there for rewrites. You actually make stuff better. You can actually do a lot of things. And the thing is, people that write, when they're on set, they see other things. They see how people do the production. They see, you know, all these other things. And a lot of times writers end up being promoted and going up. But if you block them completely out and say you write and you don't do nothing else, you're actually putting the writers at a disadvantage. And a lot of times the work is not as good as it could be if these people were on the set.
And you can't divide and conquer, because the other rhetorical tactic people do is like, well, I'm not talking about those guys. I'm talking about Shonda Rhimes. You know, if this is just your first job or your only job, or you write for one show, that's the vast majority.
Right.
There's no way. That's what a union means. You can't separate us. If anything, those motherfuckers have every argument to say, I don't want to do this. Like a Shonda Rhimes has way more arguments to be on the side of management and corporate than to be on the side of the fucking other writers. She should just, you know, she should just be like, man, fuck that. I know I got a steady job and a check coming in even before this fucking deal.
Right. And people fail to understand. That's why it was a big thing for Viola Davis when she was like, I'm not doing that. She, you know, that because she had provisions that would have allowed her to continue to do certain things. And she was like, I'm not doing that.
Viola Davis basically walked off the set of a movie that had gotten a green light, and they had agreed to the terms and conditions of the new SAG-AFTRA deal, which some companies are able to film, you know, certain productions, one-offs essentially. As long as they agree to those terms, they can work provisionally.
Right.
And Viola Davis basically said, I'm going to leave, so you can't film it without me. I'm the star. because if we allow these companies to continue to do one here and one there, they'll make enough of a profit possibly to extend the strike. And so she stopped so they wouldn't. And that's solidarity. And she didn't have to do that. She could, no one was looking for her to do that. No one's even been mad at those people for doing that. Those are agreed upon rules in the union. But she felt a solidarity with other folks that, at least in that moment, that was like, yeah, it's okay if it hurts my pockets. And that's kind of the point of the union in the first place. Maybe it's hokey or whatever, but these are the ideals that we claim to want to see in our fellow, workers and shit. But then as soon as it happens, here come every fucking excuse in the book.
Right. And also over the years, most people underneath the sound of my voice, maybe with exception of a few, have had somebody that they know that has been in a union. Uncle, grandma, grandpa, like somebody has been in some form of a union. Over the years, unions are not as big as they used to be. Government attacked them to break them up and shit like that. Because the thing is, individually, you have no power. And the reason why you have unions because shit is so fucked up that everybody's looking like they fucking you over. Yeah, they fucking me over.
No one's
too.
ever started a union out of people aren't starting unions out of greed. It becomes spun that way in the future. Once corporate entities have their say and shit, then all of a sudden it's like, the union was always a dirty, corrupt thing. But it's like, no, the start of every union is people getting fucking used, people getting exploited, and then being like, fuck, we got to come together to stop the exploiting. And that's how shit happens. And keep in mind, once you get the job, it can be a very difficult or demanding job. It's still partially because it's a non-traditional job. Right. I'm not saying every set is that way, but there's a lot of power and work exploitation going on in Hollywood because which is why you have the unions. The unions aren't just a greed thing. People were going, listen, I know this is non-traditional work. I'm gonna fuck you over. What are you gonna do about it? Back to the
right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right, because they can. And also the thing that kills me, and I've realized this, whenever it comes to jobs that are creative, everybody lose their fucking mind. And because you can't put a quote unquote dollar sign on creativity. You can't say, I do this and do this. This is how much it's worth. This is the time. When it comes to things that are creative, people get stupid and they act like creative labor isn't labor. Bitch, that's still labor.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, it's not easy because people, especially with there being so much shit now, people want everything to be this upper echelon of fucking quality. It's got to be 10 out of 10, or it just don't even count as an attempt at this point. And to find that 10 out of 10 is a lot of work, and not just work finding talent, but work honing the talent. The amount of stuff that I wrote that just had to pass through a lot of hands, things that I thought was brilliant, and people pulled something better out of me. All that process is labor, but back to the clip real quick. He's almost done.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a change, and you either, it's like anything that is, I believe in free market, but I also believe in trust and then verify, right?
What does that mean?
Meaning, you don't trust.
Now, I picked the meaning to be, and Jim Gaffigan's having this conversation, and it seems like, one, he's not necessarily an expert on it, and two, I don't think he wants to be combative over it. I don't think he wants to have a conflict over it. So instead, he's kind of talking vague here, but when he says trust but verify, and he'll try to explain later, but it's essentially streaming companies do not have to report their numbers. And so in addition to not wanting to pay people residuals for no matter how popular or unpopular the show is,
right?
Which seems a pretty fair way to me. People get paid more for things that people like more and watch more. Well, in this case, these companies, A, don't pay people those residuals. 2, don't have to report those numbers. There's no verification of those numbers.
Right.
So this idea of we can't afford to pay you, or we won't pay you, or we'll tell you how much you should get paid and you just won't ever know if we're telling the truth or not, that's what he's saying. Trust but verify. You can't trust those numbers because I want to trust the studios, but I need to verify.
Correct. Y'all could be putting numbers at y'all ass.
And of course, these two men, another perspective to add, these two men have probably had dealings almost directly with studios. Mm-hmm. Jim Gaffigan has made it to that level where he can produce projects, be in projects, star in projects. Bill Maher definitely has had. So like, it's a little bit of in their best interest not to shit too hard on the studios in the first place. Not saying Jim Gaffigan is like, I think he's a nice dude that wouldn't be talking crazy about the studios even no matter what.
Right.
But clearly there's a part of the point being there's a part of the conversation here that seems to be in the interest of, at least in tone, being fair to the studios. So to say trust but verify is like a kind of a, hey, I want to trust you, point of view.
Mm-hmm. Like the reason, I mean, Zaslav made $400 million, and I think they're looking for $80 million for, it's like they're gonna, you leave a kid in front of a bowl of marshmallows, they're gonna eat the marshmallows. It's not like some grand thing.
Well, I don't know. What are you saying? They're only asking for $80 million?
Well, I'm saying
they're asking for a lot of things.
They're asking for a lot of things.
Like kooky.
So the $80 million thing is a number that I saw from a writer who was doing this, claiming to do this math on Twitter and saying this is how much the benefits that the writers are asking for will come to, or this is the percentage of profit share that we're talking about according to the numbers that we know from these streamers and these studios. I don't know the accuracy of that number. I just know that's the one that's been. Okay. I think that's what Jim Gaffigan was trying to refer to.
No problem.
Like what I find objectionable about the philosophy of the strike, it seems to be they have really morphed a long way from 2007 strike, where they kind of believe that you're owed a living as a writer, and you're not. This is show business. This is a make or miss league, and not everybody.
You don't think that that streamers should reveal numbers so that they can?
Oh, maybe things? Sure.
All right, so that's the end of the excerpt that was on Twitter. I haven't heard the whole show.
And not trying to be funny, but if I wrote for his show, I would be looking like, so you trying to say I should make a living? You basically. This
is what I tweeted when I saw the clip. I was like,
fuck is this?
I said, imagine being a writer in his room when the strike ends. The thing is, I feel like it was purposely not detailed because Bill likes to be a contrarian without giving you many details. But when he said kooky, I want to know what the kooky things are, Bill.
Right. What are these demands that you think that's so
what's kooky about them? Because as a person that has benefited from the work of these writers and also benefits from the old grandfathered in old days of what you do, it's easy to say now, like, well, why the fuck do y'all want to make a living doing this? Y'all should have to have 2-3 jobs. Y'all, So what's funny is when you say it's a make or miss league, that's what a lot of the writers are saying. Why when I make, does it count as a miss now? Things that count as a make now are misses. Right. Things like having a hit streaming show is that having a hit TV show used to mean you were gonna basically be writing your future, writing like you were gonna have stable income for a while.
Yes.
Now, especially in the advent of streaming, it means you get paid one time. It means it doesn't matter how popular or unpopular it is. It means that you're completely in the hands of what numbers they tell you, because they don't have to tell you shit.
Nope.
And then, like I said, they never have to pay you on the back end of that in any way. Because there's no way to truly, you can't attribute a percentage of someone's subscription to a TV show 100%. Like, I think you could find ways to kind of acclimate it, but right now we can't say like, okay, this person got Netflix for Stranger Things, but we can't say they didn't.
Right.
We can say how much someone watched it, but then we don't want to tell you that. We the only ones that know.
Correct.
Because
so then you could actually break down the numbers. You go, okay, you have out of all these subscribers, this is how much time.
And at every financial call, they big up themselves.
Right.
So, which is how we know, because they're beholden to their shareholders. So all of a sudden, when it comes to those meetings, they're like, we had this many subscribers, we had this many viewers, we had this many we had this many new things, and we raised the price by this much. And then the second that writers go, okay, so you had a good year, why can't we have a good year? Our year gonna be the same no matter what? That doesn't really make sense.
Right.
So that's a big part of it. And I think another issue in there, most people don't understand how the money works. So, and this is almost like sports contracts does do this as well, because it's good for the agents that it's reported this way. Mm-hmm. But you'll see something that says like, this writer got X deal, and that's Shonda Rhimes, and it's $200 million. You go, oh, writers are doing great, But let's talk about. We can talk my numbers. Honestly, I don't mind. First season with Game Theory, 6 episodes. This used to be not really done. It used to be that you got a minimum, like a first season of a show like that, you like 8 to 10 episodes,
right?
But they switched it to 6 so they can pay the exact minimum contract of everything. Mm-hmm. So as a minimum to contract or whatever, you also get the minimum amount of money. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure there's people that got paid more than me, obviously, but just in general, the idea was we're paying everyone as little as we can. Maybe there were some people that were, talent, the producer, somebody may have been able to do it differently or whatever. But, essentially the minimum money that you get is all they're going to pay you. Mm-hmm. And they tend to be that way at every level. And there used to be a time when a TV show got approved for 20, like somewhere between like 18 to 22 episodes minimum. Mm-hmm. If it was like a sitcom, if it was like regular TV, right? Cable's different, all the stuff varies. And so one of the things that people are decrying is like, yo, we used to have bigger minimum rooms, bigger minimum episodes, and bigger minimum rooms. Minimum room is how many people write something.
Right.
Now, this is another way that you actually end up exploiting people, because let's say you used to have 8 writers to write a TV show, right? Now it's 4, and they don't say like, we're only doing 4 people, right? They just, companies start cutting down. Next time you look around, you're like, the new standard is 4. Well, in 2007, that wasn't even an issue. Mm-mm. So to go, well, they didn't want this in 2007. Yeah, because in 2007, they weren't making 4-person writer rooms for every fucking show.
Right.
They knew that it took more than that. So they weren't going.
They knew that it took more than that. And it's a reason why. Because when you think about it, the thing that kills me is this. The general public. You want good TV. You want good shit to look at. You want shit that you can remember. You want your Game of Thrones. You want all this shit, right? You want it. You don't want no half shit. You don't want no alright shit. Everything got to be A+, regardless. Well, then they're doing things to make the quality less good of a quality, because if you go from 8 to 4, that means you're putting more stress on these 4 people to produce something and be as creative as it would have been with 8.
It leads to exploitation because it's always still 8 people's worth of work.
Right.
So now you're telling people to come in different times. You're making people submit writing before the fucking season even starts, when they're not getting paid for it. You're asking people to do work at times when they are told that you shouldn't have to work.
Correct.
You make that value less. And so in this minimum room, with what I was getting paid, essentially I got $60,000 in those 13 weeks, right? Which sounds fucking lovely to me. Used to make less than that working a whole year at a company, right? Here's the thing though. Number one, you're probably gonna have to get paid out of LA or New York.
Right.
That's all the money you get for the year, right? This is not a you can keep working thing. it's all the money you get out the for the year, but in 13 weeks, then you get hit with LA, New York entertainment taxes.
Yes, sir.
Because you're an entertainer,
Mm-hmm.
which is a higher bracket than your average person in the first place,
Yes.
right? In addition to that, because of the way the industry is standardized, you gotta fucking pay your lawyer, your manager, your accountant, or whatever the fuck. You have to pay that too. Your agent, yeah. It's lawyer, management, agent normally. You gotta pay all three of these motherfuckers. They get your money before taxes. You still have to pay taxes on what you paid them though.
And we just happen to have an LLC, but when you don't, and you
forget even that, like, because you still got to pay all your taxes out of that. You got to pay your insurance out of that. If it's on location, you have to pay LA and New York rent out of that.
Yes, you do.
So my point isn't to be, woe is me, these people are so poor, so broke. No, my point is to be, they're not rich. They're not middle class. The idea and the sleight of hand is Shonda Rhimes and Ryan Murphy. But the truth is, these motherfuckers got roommates. These motherfuckers, they're not making the money, the Hollywood money you're associated with Hollywood. This would be like if instead of the vet minimum of like say $5 million in the NBA, if the vet minimum was like $70,000, and then you were going, fucking LeBron James, man, these NBA players get paid way too much for this bullshit. They trying to have a work stoppage, but I look on TV and I see blank. Right, because you're trying to make everyone go, yeah, that's the point. So that's a part of it too. Then if you get paid to write something for a streamer, you don't even get this. Because like at least with this contract that I got, you play it on TNT or whatever, or this, whatever, and they don't always get the royalty checks out on time. That's fine, but if enough people are watching your reruns, you get some more money eventually, and it's not bad money. If you have a hit TV show, it can be really good money,
right?
But the streamers are trying, and the studios are saying, nah, we don't want to even do residuals on that streaming stuff,
right?
That's huge, because the people that are watching on the same TVs.
Yes, they are.
Sometimes the fucking streamers now are starting to put commercials back.
Yes.
So they can make like Netflix with commercials, so they can get advertising money to still not give to the people that wrote it. It's like, that doesn't seem weird. That don't seem fucked up and exploitative.
Right, because all jokes aside, the thing about when Netflix first started, for those of you that were around when Netflix first started, particularly streaming, the thing is, I pay my money and bitch, I don't get no commercials. That was the whole purpose and the whole point, was to eliminate commercials. And now, after all these years, you bringing them bitches back.
Yeah, people are saying they're cutting the cord and they're paying for non-streaming channels, and they always bitching about it,
right?
But they never say to themselves like, wait, I'm paying more money for stuff, shouldn't that mean that the people that create the stuff are making more money too? Why aren't they making more than ever? If Netflix didn't really have the foothold that it had in 2007 that it has now, why isn't that reflected in the people that work there other than the CEO? Because we didn't say this about the CEO. No one ever stops and goes, whoa, fuck that. The CEOs don't boycott because they get paid every time. It's because they know it's stupid money that they're not worth. So you never heard of a CEO holdout, but somehow we turn this thing into, the enemy is the fucking working people in this situation. And it's really frustrating to hear that shit. And Bill Maher is a dick. We've known that for a while. And I think his lack of knowledge on things is like always reflected in how smug he tries to be about it. Like the wronger he is, the more wrong he is, the more smug he gets.
Right.
To where it's like, but if I say it like this, then it makes me right. It's like, not really.
Right. You just sound smuggier, that's all.
Right. So that that's a big part of it too. Is I know he's not 100% on the up and up in the first place. He either doesn't know or doesn't care to know, and probably doesn't know and doesn't care with the plight of his own writers and shit. You know, the people that aren't getting checks right now. Meanwhile, other late night hosts are starting shows in other formats to try to help raise money for their writers to get money throughout the pandemic.
Right.
Pandemic throughout the fucking strike.
Yes.
So yeah, I just find it kind of I don't think it's not that you can't have criticisms. I mean, we're all human. There's things about the strike that I think, you know, I question like why people do certain things, you know. Like there's things where like we are trying to make it cute, you know, that we're striking when most people are like, look, man, I'm mad. I don't have that much money. And this is serious. But you know, it's a lot of writers, especially comedy writers, like it's time to write some jokes and put them on signs and wear costumes and all this type of stuff. And I guess, you know, on the good side, that's what keeps everybody having positive motivation in a very dire situation where we haven't been paid for over 100 days.
Right.
Almost nobody in our audience would be able to make it over 100 days without the income that they were used to making.
Nope. And you brought up a good point. Majority everybody that you work with, they had other jobs.
Yeah, that was why I was surprised to hear JL Covan's take, because I'm like, well, to say like the writers are, you know, almost like these kind of spoiled people that just all want 22 episode TV shows and all this shit. It's like, well, that doesn't even make sense. Most of the writers are stand-up comics.
Yes, they are.
You know, them stand-up comics don't have no respect for themselves. So think how fucked up it must be for this to be the area where the stand-up comics are like, no, we can't do this. Mm-mm. You know, like
I might do it in comedy, but I ain't doing it over here.
Like this is supposed to be the thing that helps people get on and stay on.
Right.
And basically they're trying to turn it into, it's not the stepping stone that it used to be. And we have to be careful about accepting that, because it's one way to accept that in a social situation. This is a monetary situation. So to say that studios can be more cutthroat and pay less and do less for people, but at the same time, those people who are already working hard are just, now that it's their fault, they need to work harder. No, the strike, the 100 days of not eating, that's it. This is the fight. This is the sacrifice you claim you want to see people make. Honestly, it's what a union does. It's why fast food places fight against unionization for their folks, because if they had the capability of unionizing, they would do a 100-day strike and people would fold after the 7 days of no McDonald's fries.
Come on.
And be ready to be like, pay these motherfuckers whatever. And it wouldn't be so bad if you weren't paying more than ever for your entertainment.
Right.
If like I could understand if that wasn't the case, but you're paying more. The people at the top are making more. The studios are claiming more, and then you're going, these greedy fucking writers wanting their 1% of this pie. You know, you sound spoiled and entitled. What, you want all your shows to be this? It's like, that's not even what's happening. But yeah, it was like, that was really the only reason I would agree to do a show today, because I was like, I do want to talk about this shit, because I just feel like maybe I've done a disservice of making it seem like it's all good. I don't want people worrying about me. You know, I feel like, you know, having a podcast is my main thing and my main love. And I because that industry is so dire, I actually didn't spend most of that money except for anything but like where I had to stay up there.
Right.
But I didn't really spend that money because I was like, I don't feel like anything's guaranteed.
Right.
And I don't feel, if you have a family or something right now and you're in the middle of the strike, man, that shit is scary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because these motherfuckers are basically trying to break us, and they came out and said as much in interviews. And I just don't understand how people came away from even reading that shit and felt like there's a middle ground.
Right. There's not a middle ground. They're just not here. And, you know, like I said before, and I will continue to say this, most people only care because they're looking at it from I wish I was in that situation. Because you know what? Most jobs need unions. People will not admit that. Even office jobs, most jobs need unions. Everybody actually needs to be paid more. Everybody actually needs rights and benefits and shit like this shit today. Particularly, let's say you work in a quote unquote office environment. You know what a union would do? Would make it where if you're off, me off. Which means if I'm off, don't be hitting me up on fucking Teams. Don't be emailing me. Don't be calling me on my vacation. Don't be acting like I gotta be on 24/7. Don't, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the shit unions would go, you can't do this. I worked my time. Leave me the fuck alone. You will be fined and feed if you do this. Unions would stop a lot of micromanaging and shit like that. There's a purpose and a reason for a union. But people that quote unquote have certain jobs, they feel like their job is a real job, quote unquote, and anything outside of that is not a real job because they can't see the labor in it. They can't see the things that's involved in it. They don't know the ins and outs of it. So they just quote unquote dismiss it because it's easy to dismiss something you don't understand.
Yeah, and the idea that since the treatment of workers in the United States has been down for forever, and it's just getting worse, somehow the writers shouldn't be saying anything is crazy to me. Because it's happened in this industry too. These are the motherfuckers with the words and the pens and the emotions that express the angst of many other people. But also just in general, every industry that has union workers has had to do this in the last like 10 to 20 years. It's not a coincidence. It's a feature. The people at the top are acting as greedier than fucking ever. So this is what I wanted to do. Go through some of the things for a strike. People want higher compensation for writers across the board for WGA. Okay. There are more jobs available to WGA members than ever before because of the proliferation of streaming. Pay for most writers is down. 10 years ago, 33% of TV writers were paid the minimum rate. Now, according to WGA, 49% are. Accounting for inflation, writer pay has declined 14% in the last 5 years. 5 years, not since 2007. Last 5. That's since that will be since 2018. So it's declined even greater since 2007, the last time they negotiated. The median writer pay is down 23% over the last decade. That's with inflation factored in. Writers say many of their members aren't making a living wage. They're also seeking increases for their pension plan and health fund.
Right.
Better residuals. For blah blah blah. Streaming, basically everything we've been saying. Streamers aren't paying residuals. Even if shit is hot, super popular, you get in reruns, critical acclaim, and all that stuff. They don't share the viewership data with filmmakers and writers, meaning writers don't know how valuable their work has been. To replace back-end residuals, the WGA is seeking more upfront fees. So keep in mind, they didn't just say, well, we want to apply the same ratings that we apply to cable TV and say, when someone watches my TV show 1 million times, I want the residuals I would get if that was TV channel. They didn't even say that. They just said, well, we just want to change what you pay us up front since you won't even... We're not even expecting you to admit how much or how little people watch whatever, because we know y'all shady as fuck.
Right.
So just pay us more upfront to it.
Right.
Staffing requirements. The union wants TV shows to staff a certain number of writers for a period of time. At the issue right now is this practice of mini rooms, where only a handful of writers are working on a series. Such writers' rooms are often employed during development before a show is greenlit. That means the writers can be working on a series that doesn't get picked up for as much as a year after they worked on it. Ooh. Or not at all. Keep in mind, they be having you working like you're working as a writer.
Right.
This is not like it's a mini room and you're going to be doing less than ever. So mini room, you're going to be working harder than ever. And even if the show gets picked up, we don't even have to give you this. The process has circumvented some of the protections WGA members have from being overworked and understaffed. The use of mini rooms accelerated during the pandemic, with writers often meeting by Zoom, which is still a common practice. Here's another thing about the mini room thing. Because of how the industry is so, it's like you have to constantly stay working if you're going to do this for a living.
Right.
And because they minimize how much work a thing is, it is now expected that you should always be working on multiple things. Every fucking writer at Game Theory, except for me, was basically working on at least pitching something, trying to get that next thing, selling a script, something, because that you don't make enough to not do that.
Right.
The idea in most people's head is this spoiled, entitled thing of you work hard for X amount of weeks and then you don't do shit for the rest of the year, and then you get another season and then you come back and all this shit. And that's just not what's happening, and it's not how anyone in that industry is comfortable. So this idea that people are saying, well, the writers don't want to work, they don't want to work hard. They're working hard and they're not being compensated for it. And that's not supposed to be the gig. The gig is you get paid for what you work on.
Yeah, and also it's one of the things too where a lot of times people compare writers' jobs to their jobs, with the exception of, we're going to erase temping and all that stuff, but like your regular normal fucking job. If you was to come in to your normal job, like they hired you and they said, look, we're hiring you permanent. Most people are going to be like, okay, I'm permanent until you decide I don't want to be here no more, or whatever the case may be. They go, no, we're hiring you, but we're only hiring you for 18 weeks or whatever for a certain period of time. Then after that, you just SOL. You're just going to have to basically go and get another job. Most people in office working, they would not deal with that. They're like, no, bitch, you hired me. I don't understand why I only have X amount of days. So now I'm in a panic and I have to consistently go get another job. People have to deal with this all the time. And this is why prior to, I want to say prior to Ronald Reagan, if you worked a temporary agency for like 6 months, I think it was 6 months to a year. After that, the job either had to hire you permanently or let you go. After that, once he came on, they changed the rules. So now you have people that are quote unquote permanent temp workers. That shouldn't be. Either hire me or let me go. You're wasting people's time. And that's the thing. People want to compare it, but it's not. It's very frustrating because they can only see it they can't see it from their perspective. Like, I would have a fit if I got hired in my job. Like, hey, you know what? We only hire you to work 40 hours a week for 14 weeks. Then after that, we'll holler at you later.
Yeah. And so I haven't even really reached out to that point. I agree with it, but I just haven't taken the time to try to make the point because I don't know that you need to live like this to understand it. I think I can understand what it's like when people explain their plight, and I haven't always experienced those things. Anyway, shorter exclusivity deals. Many of the rules around TV writing are also still based on a now increasingly outdated model. Writers might have once expected to spend a year working on a 22 to 25 episode season. Now the average season is much shorter. Popular shows like Bridgerton might only have 8 episodes. So not only does that diminish the writer's pay per episode, right? Because it used to be you got a writing job, 22, 25 episodes in a season, you really could work once a year on one show and be good. Anyway, but not all shows were that long anyway.
Right.
But not only does that diminish writers' pay per episode, it can limit them from working on other programs if they're tied to longer term exclusivity. So basically, what they do is the exclusivity is not written in as, well, since you're only doing 6 episodes, you're exclusive for the time it takes to make these 6 episodes, and then you can go do whatever. Some of these exclusivity deals are like years. It's like you're here for 4 years. And it's like, okay, but you're giving me not 4 years worth of money to go with my 4 years worth of work.
Right.
Because everything's shorter now. So 4 years used to mean I have to sign this contract and be at this studio for the next 4 years. But that's 4 years of 22 episode seasons.
Correct.
I'm going to be straight. Now it's 4 years of 6 to 8 episode seasons. You can't be straight anymore. And you can't go work somewhere else because of that. And then, of course, the AI thing is the easiest one. I think that's the one that almost nobody's going to be on the side of the artificial intelligence. And just the main thing I keep pointing out, the artificial intelligence isn't even good yet. And the studios are already trying to get the foothold on that to use against the writers. That's kind of fucking scary for us because obviously the better it gets, then it will become viable as like, oh, this like, right, like they're trying to secure this for now when it's the least threatening that AI is. Like right now, most of us can tell something is artificial, whatever. Right. And if you're just a fan, a customer of these companies, you should feel a little fucking insulted that they just told you, we're gonna give you some computer written bullshit,
right?
That isn't good. You can tell it got 6 fingers on the picture already and 12 thumbs. You can tell. So we're gonna just sell you that because you're so fucking stupid. And keep in mind, as we're saying this, we're raising our prices.
Right.
Like Disney is shitting on their writer, like their Bob Iger is like low key trying to shit on the quality of the Disney stuff to be like, we gotta get out of this whole Marvel and Star Wars thing that the vast majority of people that bought our streaming services, that's the only thing they watch. Mm-hmm. But we need to get out of this business, and our quality has gotten bad, and these writers want money. We're doing this for you, consumer. By the way, Disney's going up to $22 this month, and it's like, wait a minute. Now, how can all that be true?
Right.
So you think the dude that's trying to fuck your pockets isn't trying to fuck the people that works for them pockets? Is that what you think? Because that don't make sense.
Mm-mm.
So, yeah, I think that I just wanted to get that off my chest. I know that has nothing to do with nothing.
Oh, no problem. It's really important. I know for a lot of people, they particularly if you've been online and things like that, you've been kind of seeing this go up and down your timeline and your Facebook feed or Instagram and TikTok. And for a lot of people, they literally have no idea. They don't know how it works. They don't understand. They have these myths. They have these theories, but they really don't know. There's a lot of moving parts and moving factors to this. And it's wild how workers fuss at workers for getting paid more. Because basically workers get the angriest at the other workers. I don't understand. But you actually need to get paid more at your job too, right? But instead of, going and being like, hey, I need to be paid more, no, something's wrong with you for pointing the fact that I need to be paid more too. So I don't know how to handle this. So I'll get mad at you.
And the thing for me is like, when everybody does this half a Republican bullshit,
right? They
always tend to ignore that these are the same talking points, and they use them individually against everybody to, like I said at the beginning, it's the, hey, all you doing is flipping burgers. Hey, all you doing is writing a show. Hey, all you doing is teaching some kids. Hey, all you doing is being the nurse that in the emergency room. And it's like, yeah, individually though, that doesn't make no fucking sense. Mm-mm. And when it comes to the unions finding money, they always find money for the cops. Police union budget the biggest in the fucking state every year. They always find the money for the cops, but this the only union that's wrong. And the teachers union, and the railroad union, and the UPS union, and these niggas just want air conditioning,
right?
And they
and the truckers union and the railroad union.
Right.
You be like, well, bitch, that a lot of these unions, some of them started decades ago because of the mistreatment. Like, you've got to pay people, and a lot of times people the general public underestimate, particularly with some of the larger unions, how much this shit impacts them. Particularly, let's say you get to the truckers union or the railroad union, most of your shit comes by truck or by train. If them motherfuckers are like, fuck y'all, nothing choo-chooing today, ain't no 18-reelers rolling, everything would fucking stop. It would literally stop. But people you want your Amazon package, you want your food delivered, you want your Hello Fresh, whatever it is, you just want it there. And how it gets to you be damned. And you don't care that people are working below minimum wage, in bad conditions, working themselves to death, not getting paid enough, not getting no insurance. It really does not matter. But when it comes to my job, I expect to get paid the best. All my work is value. All my work is worth something. Everything I do, I need to get paid every motherfucking dime for everything that I do. I can negotiate that. I can stand up for blah, 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 whatever it is. Okay. But you won't extend that to other people in other industries who are also workers.
Right. It's just, and the idea that like, well, y'all didn't care about the other workers, that's not even true. That It's just some fucking straw man shit. Like, it's just like, who made your TV show about the Amazon people? It was fucking writers and directors and shit and actors acting in it. Like, what? How did the fuck you somehow get better than this?
Right.
That's crazy to me.
And also, it's kind of connected, but it's a little off topic. Particularly when people attack unions and shit like this, and they don't want to pay. We're gonna talk about the teachers union. Qualified teachers have kind of tanked because teachers are like, I am not going to school, getting in debt, getting these degrees to get in here and get motherfucking screwed over. I refuse. And you know what happens? All of a sudden, the standards started lowering. The standards started lowering because people go, well, fuck them, fuck a teacher, fuck them. Because people go, well, I don't feel like that. You do. The lawmakers pass laws and shit like that against a lot of this shit. And so it becomes, and every time something gets cut, what is it? It's music education. It's, sports education. It's education that a lot of times get a lot of these big chops across the board in a lot of your state and local budgets. And so the quality gets lower. And what's going to happen in some of these other industries, the quality is going to get lower, which means you're not going to have people who, I got a degree in this, I went to school in this, and people talk about they don't want to make this connection. All of a sudden, you have to deal with, not that this hadn't been in there, but it's been an uptick in children getting abused and all this stuff because you have people in there that are not qualified for the job.
Right. I agree actually. But yeah, that's like, I don't know. That's my spiel for tonight, really, on it. We'll move on to something more fun in a second.
Problem. I'm glad we talked about this.
Yeah, it's just, I think between listening to that podcast, still a very funny podcast, and JL be the guest tomorrow, and then listening to Bill Maher's smug ass comments, and it's just like, what aren't people getting about this? Or is it just we're in a society where contrarian is just, we need to all be some level of like contrarian to everything? Because it's times where I see shit and I'm like, there's not 2 points of view on this one. There's not a middle ground on this one. And like for Bill Maher to be like, either with the union or you with Trump, it's like, where's that even coming from? Like, Trump's not even involved in this, number one. So like, this isn't a Trump Republican situation.
Right.
It's just like, this one is what is your reason for being on the side of corporations continue to get all the money, writers continue to get less money than it was even a few years ago? I just don't. What is your thing there? What are you? What are you winning out of that? What is it? What is the validation that's happening? And I don't feel the logicking when motherfuckers start talking like that. I'm just like, well, hold on. When are you gonna get to your specific thing? Well, you act like what you do for a living should be make something you can make a living doing. Like, yeah, that's kind of what everybody would like. And we have a union and ability to try to negotiate that. That's gonna, I'm shocked to tell you, that's gonna always be the goal of every single union for every job ever, is to help the people who do it, the vast majority of them, make a living doing it. To act like that's some type of weird ass like thing that nobody else wants or is trying to get is crazy.
Right. And like I said, maybe it's just me, but a lot of times in situations like this, I will be pro worker, Yeah,
you said, I know. I think most people would.
But the way a lot of them talk, it's like, are you really though?
Yeah, that's
really
fair.
though?
That's fair.
Are
Not most people. You're right. Most people probably would not be pro worker. I think most people like to think they would be.
Correct.
But they won't. But at the end of the day, they won't. If the thing that always made me think about like my thing was like people that try to do the high-minded, I hate Amazon shit. And it's like, yeah, and it's like, we got to pay the people more. Yep, absolutely. And my shit still need to get here in 4 hours. Now make it a humane conditions of 4 hours. And so like, there's funny things and hypocrisies everywhere. But I just find this idea that, these writers are these insufferable, spoiled people. It's so disconnected from reality. Correct. And if there's been an issue with messaging, to me, and like I said, this is just how I feel about it. If there's been an issue with messaging, that's been the issue for me. Is I think too many people have tried to make this cute and make it entertainment because we know we're clowns. We know if people like you and they're laughing, they'll be on your side. Like, yeah, pay the cute writers. But at the end of the day, it's not cute. And a lot of what we have to convey is, while y'all are looking, because we're all the social media people, we're all the Twitter people, we're all the fucking, the charismatic, funny, I want to see them. All the actors are the people you want to fuck. Like, while that's been happening and people have felt entertained, I've had this feeling of like, yeah, but it's actually serious.
Yes, it is.
So maybe not as funny as people laugh. Maybe the goal is not to see us marching in the heat and laughing about it, because at the end of the day, pretty fucking miserable. And these studios are saying things like, we want to break you.
Yes.
We want these people to not have money. We know that we know we're paying them so little. We don't expect them to be able to last this long without the money. They just have to agree to our unfair deals, like artificial intelligence taking their jobs and then paying them much, much less to go and do 40 hours a week work of fixing the artificial intelligence work. That's the kind of shit that's happening. And I'll be goddamn if I'm gonna sit up here and not put my voice on it, because like I said, I've been really letting it slide. Like,
right,
everyone should know, and it's been 100 days and it's not fun, and you don't see me on here joking about it and having cute signs and bringing all my writer buddies on so we can. It's actually kind of fucked up, and fuck people that don't understand that shit.
Right.
Fuck Bill Maher for that shit.
And like I said, it does not make sense. And like I said, as somebody who, looking from it from your perspective, and even before that, I've never been a part of a union or anything like that, but it's one of those things. But I've always been pro-union. I've had family members that are pro-union. I've had family members that have been on boards of unions that had to negotiate shit, and stuff like that for decades. So, unions are, a part of my life. So I understand the importance of unions. And for a lot of people, the reason why you make what you make, even in office buildings, the reason why you work 5 days a week is because of a union.
Not to mention, a lot of the reason you see the diversity push in Hollywood is because of union shit.
Correct.
Because they have diversity standards. Because if not, the studios would just be like number white folks, because they're passing rules too. Like, it's just like unions also in America are very synonymous with like a lot of times how black people get paid, union and government jobs.
Yes.
Like when you have like a union for the trash collector type people, it may not start out that way, but eventually it ends up representing, well, now this is what black and brown people have to do to make a living wage. So already it's whack like that. Not saying that's what Bill Maher jail was saying, but my point being, like, it's a lot of rhetoric out there going unchallenged, or just, like I said, maybe people are tired and they want to make like a hot comment, but it's just like, bro, it's not a game. And I just wanted to use the platform we have to reiterate to people. I really didn't. I get tired of seeing how many writers make a thread every day, how many actors make a thread every, because I'm like, I don't feel like it's a messaging issue. At least that's how I felt until today. I said, no, people understand clearly what's happening. We don't even really need to keep explaining it every day. But, every day someone come on and be like, I make this much money, and I know y'all think I'm this, and this, but this is how my money has been affected by this, and this is what my residuals look like. And I would be like, man, do people really need to know that? That seems like it's not that big. No, they need to know.
They need to know. Yeah, like with almost like Billy Porter came out, and people, but that's the thing. You're going from job to job to job to job. And the thing is, if you're bouncing around like that, you have to consistently have the next gig. And people on the outside do not understand how that functions. And it's designed like that purposefully too.
Like, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. But it's like, there's a reason people are hesitant to put their eggs in the basket of these jobs, including me. And it ain't about because you got to bet on yourself and it's a meritocracy. I'm fucking really fucking good. Maybe I could make a go of it and really, if I wanted to. It's kind of the same reason I don't want to do stand-up. That gig is so fucking finicky and not really based on anything of substance, and just the wrong motherfucker could just decide they fucking you over and you're fucked. You know, that was another thing. Almost every writer in that room had some fucking heartbreak story of how they got their work fucked out of them. And people don't know that shit, so they think it's all good. You know, so like I said, it's a wild thing. But let me move on. Let's do a little bit of fucking with black people, okay? That'll cheer us up. Think that's what we need.
We're just fucking with them people because they black. We're just fucking with them people because they black. We're just fucking with them black people. We're just fucking with them blacks. We're just fucking with black people. Hey, yay! I said, can you leave me alone? All I wanna do is go home. I said, leave me alone. I wanna live another day home. I said, can you leave me alone? I wanna go home like ooh ah.
Black people are fucking lazy. Texas company displayed hate symbols and nooses, allowed managers to call black employees the N-word, alarming EEOC lawsuit claims.
EEOC had to get involved, huh?
Clarence Thomas's old job. Can you believe it? TNT Crane and Rigging. That sounds like a racist name. TNT Crane and Rigging.
Are they dynamite?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, TNT like dynamite. Crane.
Okay.
Rigging got 2 G's in it. I don't know. It's feel racist to me somehow. Is listed as defendant in a lawsuit filed August 24th. It alleges that company fostered and subjected employees identified as Edwin Creighton, Lorenzo Smith, Freddie Campbell, and Jason Pradia to a hostile work environment. According to the lawsuit, employees had to grapple with their field manager as well as a number of colleagues using racially offensive language, including the N-word on the job. Also, hate symbols associated with white supremacy, like noose and the lightning bolt stickers, were openly displayed on the grounds with no disciplinary action. In one August 2018 incident, Smith, who served, I'm always amazed by when the incidents happen and then when we're hearing about the lawsuit. This happened in 2018. It's 2023. In the April 18th, 2018 incident, Smith, who served as a crane operator, was ordered by the field manager to pick up an air conditioning unit at Fort Worth facility while working in Frisco, Texas. He was met with racial slurs when he asked the manager for help. Nigger, if you're going to bitch about it, you can turn that truck around and take your ass home, the manager allegedly said. Well, I'll tell you what. Niggers never really followed by a nice thing. You know? It seems like when it comes with a comma after it, it's just going to get downhill. It's going to be a mean thing. When Smith attempted to report him and stated in a lawsuit he didn't receive an effective response from his management, Creighton also allegedly had a similar experience while working as a crane operator at the facility. The complaint also says he was called the N-word by a field manager. It also alleges that Campbell, a truck driver, overheard his colleagues using the derogatory term. He later discovered that he also was being referred to as the white coworker's black daddy. When he tried to put in a report, he reportedly was told said it would be handled. However, it was not addressed. Pradia started working as a rigger. That's why it sounds racist to me. Crane and these riggers, that's gonna be their excuse in court. They're gonna be like, no, we were saying riggers. I don't know what these black guys are talking about.
You know, we work with riggers.
Yeah, these riggers are crazy, Your Honor. Listen, I wouldn't give these riggers a goddamn thing.
Riggers what? Riggers what?
I mean, he's saying we refer to him as the N word, but all I can say to that is rigger, please. I mean, one of the coworkers, they were dating him. I mean, she was a rigger lover, but we loved her even
just the same.
We didn't have no problems with that. But yeah, he later discovered he was wearing okay, yeah. So he started working as a rigger. Pradia started working as a rigger coming 2019. He claimed that a white colleague told him, "A lot of black people are effing lazy. You're different. You're not like the other niggers. You work though, and that's what I like about you."
Did he follow that with boy? Was there a boy in front of it and a boy at the end of it?
Why do you think that was a compliment? Maybe that's a compliment sandwich. You start with black people are lazy, call them the N-word, and that's a compliment sandwich. Maybe it's a performance review. The complaint mentions Nathan Cook, a white employee who was targeted after reporting the harassment and discrimination he witnessed in the work environment. According to the lawsuit, Cook alleged that he was physically assaulted and labeled a wigger and a snitch by his peers. Following his complaints, his hours and pay were reduced. The alleged retaliation, along with other factors, led him to resign from his position.
Mm-hmm. And guess what? Those are things that somebody can go back and check computer and paperwork and see, like all that shit is time and date stamp. Like you can't hide and erase that shit.
Yeah. The complaint mentions Nathan Cook, a white. Oh yeah, I said TNT knowingly permitted a work environment. Blah blah blah. EOC basically said they know what they did. So yeah, we'll see. 0 to 100, Karen.
This is a Jakaris, and this is a prime example of why you need unions. Because they would have had a standard and be like, you call me a nigga, we're gonna have some problems and repercussions.
You gotta get fired.
Right, you're gonna lose your job when you report it. We have policies and rules and procedures to step in and checks and balances. People are held accountable. It basically took them doing this for the federal government, and they don't take anything. They were like, oh, they was like, oh, let us step in.
I give it a Dracarys as well, because this is the highest level of racism possible. I call this Spike Lee level racism. Okay, this is Spike Lee movie type of racism, like that racism where you like when you be watching a Spike Lee movie and you be like, I don't even think this kind of racism happens. Like, I know,
did y'all make this racism up?
I know white people are bad, Spike, but this is goddamn. They don't just openly say it like this, Spike. This is that level. Like, if this was in a Spike Lee movie as a plot, I'd be like, okay, it couldn't have been that bad.
Well, they're barefooted too,
right?
With no shirt. The fuck?
Like, all right, would he pull out a whip on him, Spike? Come on, man.
I mean, where's the cotton field?
But that's how bad this racism is. It's Spike Lee level. If your skin isn't brown, you need my permission to speak. Black woman declares white people shouldn't speak to her without permission. A viral video sparked controversy showing a black woman demanding permission from white people to comment on her public page or to speak to her. The TikTok video sparked interest as it shows a woman saying, if you aren't black, if your skin is brown, if you are not melanated, then you do not have a right to come under my videos talking back to my people. The video continued, the woman saying, your opinions are not wanted, nor are they relevant. All right. 0 to 100, Karen. They don't even have a link to the TikTok.
I'm about to say, I want to see it.
Yeah. What the fuck? All right, let me see if I can find the link.
Right, because that will make a difference in the answer.
Yeah, white people can't speak. I don't even know if this is gonna come up. I don't even know if this is gonna, like, what fucking news article come up from TikTok? Black woman, white people can't speak. I don't know.
Google.
I don't know if it's gonna work out for me.
This might be a hit or miss, y'all. We all gonna experience this live. Fuck it, we're doing it live.
I shouldn't have took those edibles. Oh no. I need my brain to be working. Thought I was just gonna be able to calm down and not cuss out Gail Covan. If your skin isn't brown, you need my permission. Okay, maybe if I put that in. Okay.
Right.
And then we search the Googles for this.
That sound more like it. It's out there somewhere.
TikToker The Black Messiah sparks debate. Okay, first of all, her name is The Black Messiah. Isn't that a movie?
Oh no!
Right? Isn't The Black Messiah Judas and the Black Messiah? Right? Anyway, interesting.
I think so.
But pretty much, I'm already out. Any of the professionally black Twitter accounts, I'm already like, I've seen too much.
5% thing. What's happening here?
That's not even the part I'm talking about. I've seen too much scamming from the unprofessionally black crew to fall for it. Oh,
is it deleted?
It looks like it was deleted. Well, I'll be damned, guys. That was she must have took it down. You know who would have had it? Motherfucking one of the messy sites.
I'm about to say that shit's still up there so well.
One of the messy sites would have screen capped it.
They would have recorded it.
Screen capped.
It's out there so well. Trust it. Nothing disappears from the internet.
Okay, I think I may have found it.
Okay.
Let me see if I can share it with y'all. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I knew I had to go to a messy site. This is knowyourmeme.com.
Never heard of it in my life.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I guess I still on the white.
Skin is not brown. If you are not melanated, then you do not have the right to come under my videos talking back to my people. Your opinions are not wanted, nor are they relevant. So why do you feel like you need to come and keep saying something to my people? You need to ask me my permission before you speak or comment on my videos. You come under my video and say, Lord, may I please have your permission to say something. Then you wait for me to give you my permission before you start tapping, moving your little pasty fingers around on my page. You people have been talking way too much for way too long, and your time is officially up. It is Black Power forever.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Well, now I'm on her side. Hold on.
What sparked that comment? Like, what happened prior to that?
I need to hear both sides.
Right, like
I need to know what the white people say. They might have earned this. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what happened for her to make that comment? Like, that's what I need to know, because that would dictate a whole lot.
She too mad for me to just dismiss her as like nothing happened. Like, she's either like a hell of a grifter, having some mental health issues, or a white person said something that deserves that shit.
And she's like, oh, you want a job? Okay.
So I don't know no more.
I don't know what to get the score.
I'm gonna give this a 25.
A question mark.
I need more information, dog.
My score is a question mark. I didn't know what happened prior to this.
She might have been spitting facts. I don't know.
So mine is a question mark. I can't give you an answer unless I know what happened
if
prior to.
If y'all ain't never ran across an audacious white person, they'll bring it out of you. Hey, that's it. All the white people privileges revoked. Now, how she gonna make that work on TikTok? I don't know.
I don't know.
She gonna have to go into every. She had to go into every individual comment, because I don't think you can put a racial block. You can't put like a racial boundary on your, like, blacks only.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
So I don't know how she gonna make every comment, every what do they call those things? Stitch video. I don't know how she gonna handle all that. Whew, my goodness, that was amazing. Okay. That felt like the woman Dr. Umar. That's another thing. She could have woman Dr. Umar points of view in politics. I have no idea.
Nope. That's why I didn't know what happened prior to it.
She also was giving me that vibe of somebody that could be like, and another thing, you don't need no birth control if you just drink juices and berries.
Oh,
okay.
No!
A lot of y'all out here using
your alkaline levels right, ma'am.
You shouldn't even get a period if you're eating right. I'd be like, well, that makes sense too, that you would be that person.
Mm-hmm.
All right, one more. Oh, no. Let's go guess the race. Let's go guess the race.
So we're going to guess the race?
Yeah, let's do guess the race instead.
This time for guess the race. This time for guess the race. It's time for Guess the Race.
All right, time to guess the race. You know the game. Go around the globe, find different articles. Karen guesses the race. So does the chat room. They're racist. A woman was arrested for stabbing her grandfather in the face after he told her to take a shower.
Oh, it ain't that serious, baby.
Just,
Ooh, all he wants you to do is get the funk off your ass. You be like, fuck you in this funk.
now I gotta kill you. You know, look what you made me do. Police say that 22-year-old Louisiana woman was arrested for allegedly stabbing her grandfather in the face during a dispute over her hygiene. Carrington Harris from Keithville was taken into custody following the incident prompted by her grandfather's request for her to shower on Wednesday. Now, I do wonder, how was the grandfather telling her to shower? Like, was it like a prolonged roast of take a shower? Was it just like a one comment?
Roasting her for days.
You know?
What's that smell? I think it's you. Wash your ass.
The Caddo Parish.
That's how that went.
The Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office said detectives said Harris and her grandparents began arguing after they asked her to shower. She began damaging property inside the house, then turned the power off from outside. Oh, that's some serial killer shit. Detectives say while the couple was trying to restrain Harris, she escaped to retrieve a knife from the kitchen using it to stab her grandfather. Afterward, Harris fled the residence and hid in nearby woods, only to be discovered hours later by law enforcement, who found her hiding behind a neighboring house. Yeah, this was not a well thought out plan. Either they were her last nerves or she's got some other issues going on.
I think it might be some other issues.
According to reports, Harris taken into custody accused of committing both a case of domestic battery abuse and one count of domestic battery abuse with a dangerous weapon. She's currently being held in Caddo Correctional Center, where they probably make you take showers. No bond has been set. Grandfather's taken to the hospital. There's no update on his condition. Guess the race of Carrington Harris, Karen.
I'm going white, and I guess her grandparents what another age, because you hit a certain age, they hit you with that elderly abuse.
Okay.
So,
they might not have that law there.
That's true too.
I don't know.
And I don't blame them. Don't be beating up old people.
Yeah, let's check the chat room and see what they believe her race is. I think we must have a little bit of a delay.
We do. It's a little slow sometimes.
White, says Mary. Going along with Karen. Prestigious, ridiculous last name. Carrington really as a first name. I'm going to go black. Black, wet dog, woodland white woman. Smelling like ass outside one of them free range white women. I hate you, Grandpa. White. The correct answer is Karen went with white. Mm-hmm. And you're wrong. Said black, you got it right.
Niggas out here stabbing their grandpas.
Looks like black people gonna have to give up that whole joke about white people not washing their legs for a while, because she was willing to stab her grandpa over not washing her legs.
Oh,
yeah, I just picture him being an old black man that just kept bringing it up.
He did. Old black people, they get tired of you, they will roast the hell out of you.
That's how I think it really went down. All right, let's go to the next one. A New York City driver in a Good Vibes t-shirt charged with armed murder for 7-person hit and run in Midtown.
Well, damn, you had the wrong shirt for that situation.
The unbalanced woman told, how can I finish this article? The unbalanced woman told cops she paid to God while plowing into 7 pedestrians. What is paid to God?
Probably prayed. She probably drunk.
Oh, pray. Oh, she must have meant prayed. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that don't even make sense. Paid to God.
Guaranteed that person was drunk under the influence of something.
Oh, okay, yeah, prayed to God. Yep. Amani Lucas, 29, who's also faced charges of assault, reckless endangerment, and leaving the scene of an accident. She wore a gray t-shirt emblazoned with the words "Good Vibes."
No vibes was good about that situation.
Good vibes only. She's like, the vibes was good in the car. She faced one count of attempted murder for each of the 7 people she struck. She was diagnosed with bipolar disorder at age 12, was likely off her medication at the time of the incident.
Oh no!
So that's sad. Although I guess I was never gonna have a good reason someone ran into 7 people. So I guess this is always gonna be sad. I have reason to believe she's not aware what the charges are or why she's here, said her defense attorney. Yeah, we'll see. All right, Karen, guess the race of good vibes.
White. What
Karen's
was her
going
name?
White. Her name is Imani Lucas.
Imani Lucas, black.
Okay, Karen's going black. So not one of the white Imanis. All right, got it. Black, says Trey in the chat room. And that's it for now. Brown and down bad, says TPS. That's a black name. Yes, I guess Imani kind of gave away a lot. She's black. Yeah, she wearing that shirt and 3 cops on her.
Oh
coming out the precinct, and she definitely looks despondent. I feel like the only time people run into people in public in their cars, like more than one, it's either old person shouldn't be driving, racist person that's some kind of terrorist situation
shouldn't be driving.
Yeah, which basically racist person and terrorist same way. That's the same thing. And then or a person that has mental health issues. I feel like all the articles are like that. All right, last one. Let's move into now that I've sufficiently given us a downer, let's move into the next round.
What time is it?
It's time to guess the race. It's time to guess the race. It's time to guess the race. It's time to guess the race.
Man is arrested months after finding a bag full of $5,000 in cash in a parking lot. Robert Withington, 56 of Trumbull, contends he didn't steal the money and he didn't notice anything inside the bag indicating who the owner was. He felt like he won the lottery when he discovered the bag with $5,000 cash laying in the parking lot, so he decided to keep it.
Child, I be telling people that much money is some drugs, some kingpin, some gangster, a setup. You better return that shit in. They gonna come after you.
Withington says it felt like he won the lottery. 3 months later, charged with larceny, and it turns out the bag, with Trumbull police said, was clearly marked with the bank's insignia and found outside the same bank. I mean, it's not hard mystery to solve, but contained the cash from the town's tax department. And there were also numerous documents inside identifying the rightful owner of the cash as the town of Trumbull.
Oh yeah, you going to jail. Somebody out there rushing and dropped it and wouldn't pay no attention, and you was like, they was like, no, the bitch, the hell you do?
Yes. Can you check the door? I think DoorDash just got delivered. I'm sorry, everybody, but I need to eat munchies. And then disarm the alarm, so the alarm don't go off. That'll work. Anyway, it is funny though when you find a bag that has the bank envelope or the bank stamp on it. A lot of bags had a bank stamp on it, but it's not the bank's money. Like, that's more of a branding issue than an actual fucking, like, oh, you should have known that, like, you did know the money didn't belong to you, duh. But you should have known who it did belong to. It's like, oh, not necessarily. Maybe somebody stole it first. It's not like this was planned out. Everything was right in the moment, and it felt like I hit the lottery. That was it. The money went missing May 30th. Police said an employee in the Trumbull tax collector's office couldn't find the bag after arriving at the bank to make a deposit during regular business hours. Over the next several months, detectives obtained search warrants, reviewed multiple surveillance videos from local businesses, and conducted numerous interviews before learning the bag had been inadvertently dropped on the ground outside the bank. First of all, y'all probably did more police work than $5,000. Y'all could have let this one go. Secondly, I would assume if I was in a bank parking lot, I was under surveillance of some kind. So I'm surprised that maybe he was just down that bad. He was just hoping against hope. But
Yeah.
I would have expected, if I find $5,000 in cash in the bank parking lot, I would honestly think it was a trap, because I'm like, I know they got me on tape.
Yes, I would immediately take it to the bank, take it to police station, call 911 on the spot. Like, somebody would have. And my thing is, it had the name on the bag. The bag might as well had the 2 big ass dollar signs on it. Like, it
Right.
don't make sense.
Right.
Like, it had the name on the bank, it had the paperwork, identification. Probably told you who dropped the money, and you like, this is my money. No, bitch, you going to jail. This is ridiculous.
I walked out to he says, I walked out to the parking lot, saw someone on the ground. There's no one. It's not like I stole something. If I knew I was wrong in the first place, I would have given it right back. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. When police eventually interviewed Withington, they said he acknowledged being at the bank that day and taking the bag. He told them that he believed he had no obligation to return the bag to its rightful owner. Withington, who runs a dog training business, told Hearst he never had a criminal record and his customers can vouch for his integrity. He was charged with third-degree larceny, a felony punishable by up to 5 years of prison, up to $5,000 in fine. He was released on a promise to appear in court September 5th. Anybody who knows me knows I'm all about is generosity. After living in this town for 20 years, I'm not looking for trouble.
Child, that you'd have been better off giving that money back, because the fines and the fees and shit is more than what you found. Boo.
All right, Karen.
What was his name?
His name is Robert Withington.
White.
Karen's going white. Check the chat room. By the way, this is for the record. I know y'all think we paranoid. We've done multiple polls about this, but when I be like, if I just seen like a bag of drugs or money, just random cash, when I tell y'all I absolutely would be scared to pick it up, that's what I mean. It just ain't no money come with no story. Not like that.
Somebody is looking for this. No, thank you.
Finder keeper's black. Look both ways. Pick that shit up slowly and hope don't nobody know this nigga move. White free dog walker. Not gonna block his blessing. White discovery. White. Bobby, where you get that money from? Them scrimps and sea bass. Black. Hard living. Black. Finders keepers doesn't count after elementary school. White. Of white Withingtons. Training pit bulls. Black. Don't know how you deduced that, but Karen said white and she was wrong. You said black, you got it correct.
Go down for that one, because the name didn't say what they call him, a rigger. And
the biggest clue was that he going to jail for picking up some money 3 months later. I said, that's a black crime robber. Heard one. Didn't even know he broke the law, and they was like, oh, you broke the law.
Dog company?
Right. Oh my goodness. Training dogs. Someone said pit bulls. That's hilarious. The correct answer, I mean, let's move to the next segment. Sword ratchetness. Oh man. A man was detained at Los Angeles Convention Center with a sword.
Oh.
Yeah. What kind of convention do you think it was? Highlander convention?
Apparently.
Oh, are they even? Is this a news article? This just looks like footage. Oh, well, that's just ambient footage of the news. What are they doing? They doing ASMR now at the news?
Apparently so.
You need some music to fall asleep by? Just here's the news. A man seen with a sword late Wednesday night in downtown Los Angeles was detained by police and subsequently released with a citation. Los Angeles Police Department Central Division units responded around 10:47 p.m. After receiving reports from an on-site security that was a man swinging a sword on the property. When units arrived on the scene, they were directed by security to a stairwell where the suspect was last seen. Suspect was contacted by officers, taken in custody without further incident. So, all right, y'all, that's it. Karen, you were right. You know, I'm glad we did the show.
I'm glad we did too.
Even though it's Labor Day and I got a writing thing to do. I'm glad we did it.
I am. Thank you for doing it with me. Happy Labor Day, everybody. Shout out to unions and people that are part of unions.
All right, y'all. Till next time. I love you.
I love you too.
Mwah. Bye, everybody. Have a good rest of your night. Peace.